Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my SEC predictions for this college football season. My goodness, I am under attack by the sneezes right now. I just had to stop 2 recordings because I sneezed 3 times, and I've got another one. I'm not like a multi-sneezer. Normally, it's just one, if anything, two, but three going on four. Something there's like a critter in my nose or something, but it seems like it's going away. So we're gonna keep on going. We got a lot of good teams in the SEC this year. I'm expecting quite good seasons from a lot of these teams. This is actually one of the seasons that I feel like the SEC could be one of the better conferences. The past couple seasons, I've felt like the SEC has been extraordinarily overrated, but this time I feel like it's justified. Like, you look at the teams, you got LSU. Ole Miss is a little bit of a question mark. I think they still have Trinidad Chambliss as their quarterback unless he was like denied eligibility. I'm like pretty positive though with all the crazy whack shit going on in college football right now. I'm pretty sure he's probably back at Ole Miss. Yeah, he is. But the question is a new head coach. But I don't really think that he was the head coach that took over was bad at all. I mean, he took out Georgia and he took Miami down to the wire. Like, they were a good ass football team. You lose a bit of talent over to LSU because Lane Kiffin goes over there, but ultimately, I still think Ole Miss is going to be one of those teams. Oklahoma is a massive sleeper team for the SEC title. You know, John Mateer's coming back, and you had a great football team that made the college football playoff last season. I fell short of the game against Alabama, but still, regardless, I think you have a real shot at winning the SEC title this year. Texas A&M put together one of their best seasons in recent memory. Literally lost to Texas at the last game and wasn't in the SEC title, and then lost to Miami in the college football playoff, who ended up going on a tear. Tennessee, I expect them to be like all right, but nothing crazy. Texas, another team contending for the SEC title, and Georgia, obviously, always up there. So without saying too much, let's get straight into it. Why not start with my former quarterback's new team, LSU? Now, Sam Levitt has been dealing with some injury stuff, and is he going to be healthy for week one? He is absolutely going to be healthy for week one, but I don't know. I don't think he's injury prone at all. He just did something stupid and he got injured in a pickup basketball game, which really, I mean, like, he kind of deserves to be at LSU. I'll still support my dude. He was my quarterback. He took us through that legendary 2024 season as a freshman. He's still somebody I'm going to root for, and hopefully he turns into a first overall pick so them Cardinals can get themselves a quarterback, unless Carson Beck ends up being the GOAT. But um, I still love Levitt. I just think he did something really selfish and stupid, and it almost had to be a new team he went to. And why not get paid playing for the shitter Lane Kiffin? I don't like Lane Kiffin. I think he is the most obnoxious head coach in the league. Um, and yeah, doing what he did to Ole Miss was kind of crazy. Now he's at LSU. You guys are. I feel like Texas Tech getting the villain title is so just unwarranted compared to LSU. Like, LSU is really just the epitome. I mean, 2019 LSU was one of my favorite teams to watch. Ever since then, this school has been the worst garbage in my eyes. But they start off against Clemson, finally moving on from Cade Klubnik, who's the quarterback. I have no damn idea. And ultimately, Clemson just hasn't been able to reach the status that they were at like 5 or 6 seasons ago. They're having a hard time with this whole transfer portal and NIL stuff. They're not going to beat LSU in their home stadium, um, in my opinion. LSU against Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech is a title contender. Um, Extraordinary NFL level talent, but I'm ultimately going to go with LSU in their home stadium by 65. LSU at Ole Miss, third game of the season. I just don't think you can go otherwise. Regardless of the talent that LSU has compared to Ole Miss, and regardless of how the seasons pan out, I just don't think you can give LSU the win at Ole Miss. I just don't think, even the NCAA, I don't think would allow it. Even if LSU wins the game, they'll just void it, and they'll actually just say they cheated and switch it to Ole Miss. But LSU, right after that insane rivalry matchup, gets the kind of forced rivalry matchup when these two teams were in the SEC, just them two, before like Texas and stuff like that. LSU Texas A&M still a really big matchup. And ultimately, Texas A&M is going to be a really good team, but I'm going to give it to LSU in their home stadium. McNeese, not a question. Kentucky on the road. Kentucky lost their quarterback of last season and ultimately was a floor mat. They had a couple really good performances, but they also had some really terrible performances, and they were a doormat in the SEC. Mississippi State, I do think they're going to be taking some slight improvement and some slight steps forward. It's just really difficult in this conference, especially last season when you just play so competitively and you can't pick up that win at Baton Rouge. I don't think so. Auburn. I forgot about Auburn. This is a team that I potentially think could make some really big steps up in the SEC. They've been a great team in the SEC for the past 2 seasons. They just can't win games. They play games 4 quarters every single time. They just can't finish it. They honestly got screwed against Oklahoma and even against Georgia, but they lost regardless. And that ultimately got their head coach fired, but they're bringing in a new head coach, and they're bringing in I mean, just Auburn talent. Like, this is still Auburn we're talking about. I'm low-key gonna take Auburn here. I'm gonna take it. Their home stadium is one of my favorite stadiums, one of the most dangerous stadiums to play in. These two teams have the same old logos, the same old alternate logos, Tiger versus Tiger, and I just think Auburn is going to be a bit of a surprise this season to most people. I feel like they've been getting hyped up, and we all expect them to not live up, but just a new era is entering Auburn football, and this is a program that is one of the top programs in football history. Just recently it's been a blur, but they're still like that. LSU hosting Alabama in their home stadium. I'm going to take LSU. I think Alabama's going to have a hard season. Things just haven't been working with Kalen DeBoer. And I mean, even though they made the college football playoff last season and won a college football playoff game, that's kind of just overlooked by the absolute butt whooping Indiana put on them. And now Ty Simpson goes to the league, and you got to replace him with I think it's a true freshman, and ultimately, they just didn't really do Alabama level recruiting and transfer portal stuff that they normally do. I just think things in Alabama aren't trending in the right direction. Doesn't mean they're going to be terrible. It's just I don't think it's trending in the direction it used to. And LSU versus Texas in LSU's home stadium, I think they're going to take the L to Texas, and then I'm actually going to give Tennessee the victory. I'm not too high on LSU in their first season. Like, I just feel like LSU is one of the teams that gets ranked in the top 10 and just doesn't live up. They just haven't lived up since 2019. There hasn't been a time they've lived up. They were ranked preseason like number 5 last season. Got up to number 3 and ultimately finished unranked. They just play in the SEC. Now, Sam Levitt's a great quarterback, and I do think that he's going to work wonders. Maybe even be in the Heisman conversation. LSU, after all, is wide receiver university, but I think they've got some really tough. Actually, you know what? Tennessee on the road is a little bit like of a step, all right? Tennessee on the road is a little bit of a reach. Tennessee's probably not going to have a defense just like the last 3 seasons. They're probably not going to have a good defense at all. And yeah, LSU is going to have an offense, if anything. Their defense was last season their strong point, But the season before that, their offense was their strong point. Their defense, you can never have one or the other. That could be a Brian Kelly thing, and Lane Kiffin is here to fix that. But I don't know if he's going to get to that in his first season right away. I think they're going to lean on the offensive side of things. They did get some good transfers defensively, and I do think they're going to be one of the top teams. Don't get me wrong; it's not like these are going to be annihilations. These are probably all three going to be extremely close losses. And on top of that, it'll probably be extremely close wins. But the SEC is going to be a very good conference this year. Watch out. I don't know if they're going to win the title, but it's been what, like 3 years since they've won the title. It's been all Big Ten. Nah, this year it's going to be Big 12. Trust. This is the year. I'll do Texas A&M next. Texas A&M has a bit of an easy start. ASU, it's a fun non-conference matchup, but I ultimately think Texas A&M in their home stadium will win it. And ASU just to me didn't look good in their scrimmage, and yeah. But you lose to LSU first road game of the year. Come back. I say you beat Arkansas. I don't think Arkansas is going to be very particularly good. Missouri is actually ranked in the top 25, which is really really weird in my opinion. I was kind of shocked by them being ranked in the top 25. My ESPN app doesn't want to work and show me where the teams are ranked. It's just gonna sit here, waste my time. Yeah, Missouri's number 25. I'm not really sure why, but Texas A&M on the road to Missouri, it'll be fun. Missouri is also one of my favorite home stadium crowds. They're just extremely fun. I remember that 60-yard field goal they hit against Kansas State, and it was so loud that all you could hear was the screams, like just where the microphone peaks out, and you could just like hear the girls' screams, and it kind of just shakes. It's like, oh man, that is the best. Or like Auburn versus Oregon when they threw it down the sidelines instead of kicking the field goal. Peak! It's about that time, college football time. But Texas A&M, could be one of the teams in the title game. Watch out for Charleston in the middle of the year. Go figure. Why is that a thing? But A&M at Alabama. Ultimately, I could see Alabama winning on the road or winning at home in this game against A&M. Uh, but they already have a loss. I think Texas A&M is going to be one of the teams in the title game, and this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say 10-2 for the A&M Aggies. Take an L, fourth game of the year to LSU, and then just completely go on a tear since then. Even beat Alabama on the road, which I don't think Alabama's going to be one of those particularly good teams, but still playing in Alabama is going to be a very, very, very tall task, regardless of their record. That stadium is crazy. South Carolina could be a bit of a sleeper team as well this year. Their head coach, after all, I feel like South Carolina, good one year, bad the next, really good, bad the next. Now we could be back into that really good. Lenoris Sellers, I believe he's back. Lenoris Sellers, I think he's back. Yeah, he is. He didn't even end up going to the draft, because he was a projected he was projected number one overall by some people, and now he's back again because he just didn't have a good year, and yeah. But Oklahoma on the road is where I'm going to give them a loss, and then I'm going to say they conquer the Longhorns in their home stadium. I'm going to say they beat them. They probably should have beat them last year, but on the road against Texas. Texas was a pretty decent team overall. But this year it's in Aggie Stadium, and they're looking for that win against them so bad. I feel like this will be the year for them. Let's do Oklahoma next. Last year I picked Michigan over Oklahoma in Oklahoma's home stadium. That was a bad pick. I'm going to pick Oklahoma on the road against Michigan this time. Third game of the year against Georgia, however, that'll be a fun one, but give me the Bulldogs. 2018 college football quarterfinals or semifinals rematch. Every time these two play, that's all I see when I see it. Red River rivalry, I'm going to give it to Oklahoma. Then you get some wins here against smaller teams in the SEC. Oh, and then Florida. Florida will be something to watch with their new head coach. Not like putting them on the radar, but just like watching them develop. And ultimately, yeah, I mean, with the schedule that Oklahoma has, a lot of their games are at home, which is super beneficial to them. And yeah, a lot of their games are at home, which is they also just have the easier half of the SEC. The Red River rivalry typically, I think, goes the Sooners' way, regardless of the seasons that the teams are having. Seems like it goes the Sooners' way a lot. Last year, it actually went the Longhorns' way, which was an upset. But you got Georgia on the road, Texas in the Red River rivalry, and then Ole Miss at home, and I guess maybe Missouri on the road. Really, you got three, maybe four difficult games. Michigan, in my opinion, will not be very difficult on the road. And for Oklahoma, I think that defense will just shut down Michigan, but it is a road game, so stranger things have happened. Let's do Georgia. Yeah, let's do Georgia. Oh, they play the TCU, brother of LSU. Give me them. Just kidding. Georgia gets a nice, easy start to the year. Well, quote unquote easy. Got to make it through Oklahoma. At Alabama, Alabama does seem to like have Georgia's number. But I just don't think this is the season. Big matchup here, but it's at Georgia. Give me that. Another big matchup here, but it's at Georgia. I'm going to take Ole Miss in their home stadium. Whenever Georgia and Ole Miss play, I feel like it is just cinema between these two. And it is always a highly anticipated matchup. But ultimately, I can't really see Georgia going more than one loss. Kirby Smart's been that guy. Gunnar Stockton proved me a little wrong. He actually panned out pretty dang well as the Georgia quarterback, and they barely lost to Ole Miss, who was a damn good team last year. Um, and yeah, I mean, you really, when you look at Georgia, you got Oklahoma at home, Alabama on the road, Ole Miss on the road, and that's pretty much it. I think Georgia Tech will be all right. I don't think they'll be that good. Now that they've lost Haynes King, but they have a pretty good head coach who's been working some good seasons over there for them. I feel like a good 8-4 would be a nice landing spot for Georgia Tech. But now let's do Texas, of course. We'll do Texas. I'm actually gonna say Texas beats Ohio State. I'm going to say Texas beats Ohio State. It would have already been selected if my Big Ten video saved, but it didn't. So I'm doing the SEC, and I got to redo the Big Ten video. But I'm going to take Texas there. Texas over Tennessee. Texas honestly has. Wow. Okay, Texas, yeah. 10-2 for the Longhorns. They have a lot of happy home games and then some difficult road games. You pick up a massive win. Okay, actually, Texas has a juggernaut of a schedule. Ohio State, Tennessee on the road shouldn't necessarily be slept on. Tennessee is number 20 right now, but Oklahoma in a neutral site, Ole Miss at home, LSU on the road, A&M on the road, even Missouri, I guess, be would technically be a difficult one because they're number 25, but that's just a preseason ranking. Let's take that with a grain of salt. Um, yeah, the Longhorns go 10-2, two losses in the conference, but take down the Buckeyes, second game of the year. Texas fell short by a touchdown last year on the road. I feel like they've improved drastically since then. Ohio State is returning a ton of talent from last year, but I do think the Longhorns are going to improve significantly, especially in Arch's second year. Now I feel like he's had a year of college experience and he performed better than I expected last season. I feel like he's going to pan out to be a pretty good quarterback. Ole Miss. Ole Miss versus Louisville week 1. Wow. That's an interesting matchup. Louisville's number 24, so that's a top 25 matchup. I will take Ole Miss in their home stadium, though. Maybe that'll be an interesting game. Ole Miss starts off going 6-0 before hitting whatever their face Texas on the road and taking the L. But then Ole Miss bounces back, win against Georgia, but can't take down the Oklahoma Sooners. And then you got to play Wofford, and you take the L. You take the L to Wofford. Now, Ole Miss 10-2 sounds completely reasonable. If you're looking at it right now, you've got about 5 SEC teams staring down college football playoff spots. Which, in terms of the preseason right now, I feel like this lineup of teams making it into the college football playoff is reasonable. I feel like all of the teams that are 1 loss or 2 loss right now are reasonable teams to have in the college football playoff. You know, correct me if you think otherwise. Let's do Alabama. Alabama, Florida State, third game of the year. This time it's in Tuscaloosa. Um, I'll take whatever their face, Alabama. And see, the thing about Alabama is they are number 13, and they are. Goodness gracious, my nose is killing me. I really hope my mic isn't picking that up. I don't know what anything sounds like. I'm yet to edit a video. Got to get on that. But the thing about Alabama is they do have a lot of talent, but I feel like Georgia is just going to be one of those teams that's, more talented. They're number 3, like they usually always are, like always up there at number 3 or 2 or something like that. Never quite number 1, but number 3 makes complete sense to me. But I feel like Alabama, just compared to Georgia, doesn't have much like the talent level, even if it's at Alabama. I think Georgia will prevail. But Alabama at Tennessee, this is like one of those things where I take Tennessee. And then Alabama versus A&M, I take A&M. Like they rip off 4 straight. Now, I do think Vanderbilt is not going to be particularly as good as they were last season. You lose your crazy college quarterback in Diego Pavia, and they did bring in a lot of talent. I don't think they're dead yet, but I just think he brought a different aspect of greatness to college football. Just one of those quarterbacks that makes a team good but won't do much in the NFL. Then you got to win there, and I'm going to give them the win over Auburn. It's at Alabama. You can always expect it to be a really good matchup, but I just feel like it'll go Alabama's way. It typically has gone Alabama's way in the past couple of seasons. It's always been a super close game, but it seems like it goes Alabama's way most of the time. Auburn, I'm going to give 4 straight to open the season. Before a loss on the road against Tennessee, loss on the road against Georgia, an upset win over LSU, loss on the road against Ole Miss, win over them, a loss to Mississippi State, and a win there. So they go 7-5. They actually end up being, a particularly good team to start the year. Take some losses, but you lose to Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, like Alabama. The very pretty dang good teams, if you ask me. Tennessee, second game of the year on the road against Georgia Tech. We'll wait on that. We'll see how I feel about that. That's a good game. On the road against Arkansas, I'll give them the win over Arkansas. On the road against South Carolina. Okay, well, you could say this. I'll give them the win over Vanderbilt, even though that's a good one. I'll give South Carolina the... No. No, I'll give South Carolina the win. I like South Carolina to win that. Tennessee does tend from history, from historical events, tragic events, if you're a Tennessee fan, losing to South Carolina on the road in a butt whipping of 60 plus points and losing your starting quarterback. But I got a Tennessee 8-4 sounds like completely reasonable to me. That sounds like the most Tennessee record you're going to get. Let's do Missouri next. Missouri, nice, easy start to the year. I'll give them the win on the road against Mississippi State. Rip off 5 straight before you kind of just... Okay, they win the games that they're supposed to win, but they lose the games they got to pick up wins in. So You got A&M at your home stadium. That's a game that would make you a contender. You lose. On the road against Ole Miss, that would make a statement. You lose. Longhorns in your home stadium. Home stadium's there. Everybody wants that upset. Can't quite get it. On the road against Georgia would stun the nation. Can't get it. Oklahoma in your home stadium, can't get it. Like, they're good. They're just not beating the better teams, if that makes sense. We'll do Mississippi State next. Golden Gophers on the road. I think they're kind of in struggleville right now. South Carolina at home. I'll give South Carolina the win there. Vanderbilt in your home stadium, and then that. So it's not all that bad for Mississippi State. It's not all that bad, but it's just not quite enough for bowl game eligibility because of that loss, particularly probably to South Carolina. But you just had a really hard schedule. Oh no, the loss to Missouri is what did it. The loss to Missouri is what knocks you out. That was when you wanted to win in your home stadium, but you couldn't quite finish, and you go 5-7, which I think was around the record they were at last season. South Carolina, you got 3 games to open the year, lose to Alabama, but then you got another one. Florida, let's see. Down here you got Arkansas and then Clemson. I'll give it to Clemson actually. I'll give Clemson the win there. But you got Florida and then South Carolina. So South Carolina goes 6-6. I think that's an improvement off of last year. I'm not quite sure, but it's not the worst. It's better. They're a good team. They're just not quite able to put together the big wins that they need to. Florida's gonna have a hard season. Florida State. Florida State's a weird one. Do we expect anything of them? I don't. Okay, Florida 6-6 in their first season under their new head coach. Um, you rip off 3 games to end the season to go bowl game eligible. You bring some huge momentum into next season. That's all this season really pans out for. Vanderbilt, I'll give them the win over North Carolina State, and I'll give them these wins, but they just can't quite go bowl game eligible because they just have a really hard schedule. You got Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee. Yeah, it's not really the hardest schedule. They're just not winning games they should. Arkansas, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty for Arkansas. It's not going to be pretty for it's not going to be pretty for Kentucky either. You got 2 teams in the SEC that you kind of just beat up on. A lot of teams just pick up wins. And yeah. Um so recap, everybody is fully picked. There's only one 3-loss team in the SEC, that is LSU. And then I feel like I feel like this is a good reasonable thing you got here. Moment of silence to see if there's anything I'd like to change. I think Alabama at 8-4 and Tennessee at 8-4 is exactly where I would want them. LSU at 9-3, exactly where I would want them. Ole Miss, Texas, A&M, Oklahoma, Georgia, all teams that are extremely good, or most likely going to be extremely good this season, and I expect them all to be in the college football playoff. And then the rest of the conference is just competitive and decent. Nobody's particularly bad except for Arkansas and Kentucky. Everybody's been putting up competition and good seasons. SEC championship matchup is going to go to Oklahoma versus Georgia. Georgia picked up the regular season victory, but if I had to pick a champion, I would pick the Oklahoma Sooners. Is there a way I can pick the championship? No. I would pick the Oklahoma Sooners. Yeah. I think Oklahoma is a team that could really, really improve off of last season. They were a team I already liked. Um, I liked them, but I didn't like them. Their win against Alabama was super impressive, but I just knew compared to some of the other teams that were in the college football playoff that they just weren't going to be like that good. And they didn't. They ended up losing to Alabama, and then Alabama got torched. But overall, in terms of a team in the SEC, I think they were definitely one of the better teams. They just really needed to figure some stuff out offensively. I feel like they could do a little bit and more of that offensively. But that's why SEC predictions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe, and up a comment always helps. That's all for me. Adios.